So I initially wasn't going to make a video about this past my comments that I replied to Melody with, but I figured this because there's legitimately. See, it's crazy. I watched them change the definition of the word human in 2008. I watched them do this. Because before 2008, all the dictionaries that were being printed, as well as Google itself, said it made it very clear that human beings are mammals who do not come from the kingdom group of Animala, right? The science subcategory probably doesn't exist anymore because there's an ongoing effort to trick people into thinking they're animals. But before 2008, the definition of the word human had a clear distinction that mammals who are not a part of the kingdom of Animala. Again, Animala is a category that scientists used to use. Don't know if they use them anymore. But Animala used to be a category specifically referring to the animal world, mammals and non-mammals who are not human beings. Now, I watched them change the definition. You open a dictionary now that was made in 2008 or after. Now it just says animals to humans, and it's unfortunate to the people who were born in this current era, because nobody's going to tell you guys that humans are not animals. So the people that are around my age who get angry when they read comments, when they see videos of people using humans and animals interchangeably as if we're the same thing, and there's people that think we're fucking gorillas. So, but over the years, I've learned to just be a lot more calmer and kind of understand why people believe some of the ridiculous shit they say. They really don't have any avenues to obtain the light. Nothing on the internet tells people the truth about the differences between humans and animals anymore. Most of that is gone. If you find anything on the internet that explains the difference, it's going to be an old fucking article. It's going to be an old fucking study. It's not anything that's going to pop up right now with a modern search engine. You would need to have the website saved manually as a bookmark so that you can just go straight to the link to find it. Or somebody else would need to show you. Like, it is borderline impossible to find this stuff now. I mean, even simple shit, man. I was trying to order some fucking air cleaners. I typed air cleaner in Google, I typed air cleaner in DoorDash, and some other shit came up. I had to fucking remember that they were called cotton swabs. I had to directly remember their real name just to order this shit. That's how bad the search engines are getting now, man. They just, when you look something up now, Google used to be good as a quick reference, but it's not anymore. Now it just gives you bullshit, like more bullshit than before. But getting to the point of the video. So, Melody was saying in the comment that y'all see in the thumbnail that one of his friends were saying that animals are capable of obtaining free will. Is this even possible? So here's where it gets tricky. The main reason I stress strong energy on this channel, the main reason I stress cutting off weak energy on this channel, is because everything in the universe operates on adaptation first, evolution second. This is adaptation, right? In high school, I wrestled 125 pounds. When I graduated high school, I was 125 pounds. I'm 189 pounds right now. I had 11-inch arms when I first started working out in middle school. And before I stopped working out, I had 16-inch arms, right? They're 15 and a half right now. I'm getting back to it. That's not evolution. That's adaptation. Evolution is that when I stopped working out, I was permanently 155, 160. Even though I was skinny still, I could never go back to being 125, right? That's because even though the most of the muscle was gone, a lot of the tissue that you got while you were adapting is permanent. Well, semi-permanent. You will lose that as well over time. The human body works. If you don't use it, you lose it, right? As well as how your bones adapted, that's semi-permanent as well. So the universe operates on adaptation first. You put yourself in a new environment, you try new things, your body and your energy adapts. You do this long enough, you begin the evolutionary process. Now, how does that relate to what the fuck I'm talking about? Should an animal obtain free will, that would be adaptation. That would be the first step to becoming a human being. But understand something, right? Unless that animal uses their free will to go even further, they're not gonna be alive that long in order to take advantage of their new discovery. Animals are conscious beings, okay? They have emotions, they can feel, they can become depressed, they can be happy or sad, okay? But they're still animals. In order for an animal to obtain free will, their brains and their energy would have to adapt enough to where they're consciously aware that they can reject what they were naturally programmed for. Example, a golden retriever on their own could obtain free will if they begin to consciously have the decision-making process to be like, you know, I was born to retrieve things. I ain't retrieving shit. I'm going to do what I want to do. It's possible. But very, 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 very improbable. You guys got to understand something, man. I know a lot of you motherfuckers want to believe humans are animals because you got a pet dog or you got a pet cat. And you want to believe that that's just your furry companion, your brother, your sister, your child. But no, okay? It's an adaptive relationship, not an evolutionary relationship. People say that dogs evolved to be around humans. That's true to an extent, but it's not completely true. Dogs always try to obtain freedom for a reason. Dogs have an innate sense to break out of your house and go back to nature for a reason. It's an adaptive process, not an evolutionary one, right? A dog will obey your commands, so you give it food, so you give it treats, so you give it shelter. And a lot of dog owners get angry when they realize that, I'm not proud to admit this, but when I was a child, when I was 11, 12, 13, 14 years old, something that we used to do, right? I used to carry dog treats on me so that when we broke into people's yards, if they had a dog there, you just bribe the dog with some treats, it becomes your best friend, and you can continue to cause havoc and chaos in that person's yard, right? A lot of dog owners get angry because they see. I saw a fucking video where a dude was getting chased by a canine. He picked up a stick and threw it in the other direction, and the retarded fucking canine, don't take my video down, YouTube, please. I only used the word once this time. It fucking ran to retrieve the stick. And the fucking canine officer, he actually stops chasing the guy for a second. It's subtle. You can see it on the camera. He stops chasing the guy for a second to look at his... He's like, what the... And then he goes back. Oh, man. That's fun paperwork. But if an animal does obtain free will, it's very possible, right? It's very improbable, but it can still happen. But unfortunately, unless the animal goes all the way and uses their new free will to go further into becoming a human, they're going to have their free will probably for a couple of years until they die. You know, obviously human beings didn't come from fucking gorillas and monkeys. I mean, people just say all kind. They say we got 99% the same DNA, but we can't reproduce with monkeys. When there's human beings that there's fucking there's animals that have way less similarities in their DNA that can still reproduce with each other. Crocodiles and alligators can't reproduce with each other, even though they look alike on paper, but lions and tigers can. So it's just one of those things. When you stop listening, when you stop blindly trusting what you've been taught from birth, and you actually look into the real science on your own, when you go outside and you observe nature, because all science is derived from nature. I had a debate with some fucking kid about that on my channel. Long ass debate, and then in the end I got him to admit that he didn't even know what the source is. So, but that being said, is it possible that human beings were once animals who developed free will and then went even further? That's very possible. Because, as I explained to Melody, they're certainly trying to get you to revert back to the state of an animal, to where you have no conscious understanding of what has been done. And that's what animals are. Shout out to my boy Israel. He said it best in a private conversation. Animals are animated energy. They're at the very bottom of the conscious hierarchy. They're alive, they're animated, but that's it. There's many differences between an animal and a human that the internet will never tell you, that your teachers will never tell you. The biggest difference I give a lot of implication to on my channel, directly talking about it, get your video taken down. As you guys saw, even just a video where I was explaining narcissism, man, I had to upload that video twice. They immediately took it down the second time, and I said, fuck this, I had enough. I filed an appeal, they rejected it, and then I filed a follow-up, and I had to literally quote the fucking law, and I had to basically let them know I will be taking this all the way. Suddenly, within a single day, boom, the video's back on YouTube. It's crazy shit. But with all that being said, okay, if you guys have pets or an animal that you care about and you think you're gonna teach it free will and you're gonna teach it how to be a human and you're gonna be on some anime Naruto shit, I really hate to break it to you. While that's possible on paper, it's probably not gonna happen. Like with trying to help out another human being, they have to have an internal conscious. It has to come from inside. It has to be something that they voluntarily try to understand. Now, you do see this with cats. When cats get old, you notice they sit around listening to your conversations because at that age, they're now making the conscious decision to sit down and try to understand the human language. So a story that I tell my friends all the time, right? One time Shadow was listening to a conversation. Shadow was the cat that we had when I lived with my mom. One time I was having a conversation with my stepfather, and Shadow she was just sitting there listening. So I jokingly say, I'm gonna put you in the oven and cook you. Or I'm gonna put you in the oven, cook you, and eat you. She looked at the oven, started shivering. This is the only time I've ever seen a cat shiver in fear. She looked at the oven, started shivering, and then she ran and hid. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not really gonna... Because animals don't know what a joke is. Animals have a sense of humor, but they don't know what, because joking, like with words, that's what humans do. So it does appear that if an animal gets old enough and they have a relationship with you, they do try to understand some human actions, but obtaining free will, that is a whole different level. It's possible, though, but very improbable. Because, first of all, most animals just simply don't live long enough to conceive what free will even is. Animals are animated energy. They are born in the universe, they are born in nature, they have a natural purpose. They spend their entire lives trying to fulfill that natural purpose, and then they die and, go back to the source. Domesticated animals, because we've removed them from their natural environments, they still display their innate behaviors, but they also begin the process of adaptation. They begin to adapt living in your environment. And depending on the animal, they may never fully adapt to your environment. They may still be wild, right? The evolutionary process is something that usually takes over 20 generations. So, and most animals are not going to live 20 generations to physically make that transformation. Okay? But it's possible. Just very improbable. So, I wanted to just kind of talk about this in more in depth, because a lot of people, even people that watch my channel, they don't fully grasp the massive differences between humans and animals, okay? To the point where they think that because an animal looks similar to a human, like a monkey or a gorilla, because human beings, we see the world through our eyes, right? At least the human beings that live on planet Earth. Somebody that's from Jupiter or somebody that lives on another planet, maybe they've evolved to see the world with their noses or their ears or whatever. But human beings on planet Earth, we see the world through our eyes. So when humans look at something that looks similar to us, I understand why they want to believe that we're very similar, even though we're not. And something that I've been saying all the time now is that there was a chance before to find some truth on the internet. There was that chance before, but it's all going away now, man. All the truthful information is getting replaced with bullshit. Like, there used to be a chance to find this stuff on your own online. Now you almost can't. But it's probably better this way. We live in the era of the weakest people humanity has ever seen. So maybe the only way to learn the truth is going to the source. Maybe that's best for now, right? Because only the strongest of the strongest can take this path. And only the strongest of animals can obtain free will. Very improbable. Because after they obtain their free will, they now need to go further. And most just don't live long enough to go further. Now, if you're a turtle, if you're a gorilla, if you're a whale, if you're a shark, I mean, there was a gorilla that lived over 60, right? There's turtles that have lived for hundreds of years. There's sharks and whales that have lived for hundreds of years. They would be the closest ones to going further. And when I say become a human, I don't mean looking like us. That's not what I mean, right? I don't know. I don't know. I may or may not go into detail about that in another video, because, YouTube is video takedown happy lately. But like animal means animated energy, like how animala is a category, human is a category. So, yeah, I think my inner voice is telling me to just leave it at that. I think I've more than thoroughly explained, I think I've more than thoroughly covered my point here. But to summarize it is possible for an animal to obtain free will. Adaptation comes before evolution. If an animal who has obtained free will continues the adaptive process for a long enough time, they then begin the evolutionary process and they can then begin to fully become a human being. But this usually doesn't happen. It takes a very long time or a very good conscious understanding that animals simply don't have. There's no natural reason for an animal to have free will, so they usually don't have it. Animals are born in nature for a specific purpose, right? They don't have a natural reason to have free will. But anything's possible, even if it's improbable. But yeah, if you guys do find an animal who has obtained free will and they go further, let me know, because that is something I would love to see with my own eyes. Peace.